Welcome to the Halloween special with the Citrus Panda and
The Simplex.
Muhahaha. Now today we've got two very
Very
intense stories.
stories.
One is about a young innocent girl that goes by the name Lily Foster, and another is about Kelly Sanders. Let's get this underway. Drip, drip, drip. One night, a young girl, Lily Foster, is left alone for the night in her country house while her parents drove out to the town for a party. This was fine with Lily, especially since she had her faithful dog, Scout, protecting her house throughout the night. She made herself something to eat and sat down at the kitchen table. Turning on the radio to her favorite station, she was surprised to hear the news bulletin declaring that an avenged murderer was on the loose. It advised that people secure all windows and doors as a safety precaution. With their dog by her side, the young girl locked the front and the back doors. She went from window to window and locked each of them one at a time. She reassured herself that she would be fine with her trusty dog, and that her parents would be home shortly anyway. So Lily had a pleasant and peaceful evening, and finally decided around 11 o'clock that it was time for bed. She climbed the stairs to her bedroom and slid under the big, warm blanket on her bed. Before closing her eyes, she reached her hand down under the bed and allowed her dog to lick it.
Oh my god! Ah!
She did this every night because it comforted her. A short while later, she awoke with the sound of a scratching noise at her bedroom window. She eyed the window and reminded herself that the whole house was locked and she was safe. She struck her hand under her bed and felt her dog's slobbery tongue cross over the palm of her hand. She sighed and went back to sleep. An hour or so later, she sat up in bed. She had heard footsteps in the hallway and crept out of bed to see if it was possibly just her parents returning from their party. Seeing nothing, she returned to bed. As she was about to stick her hand under the bed, she heard a drip, 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 followed by some footsteps. She walked downstairs into the kitchen and secured the taps. That surely wasn't the source of the drip. She climbed upstairs and climbed into bed. This is silly, she told herself. I'm probably just imagining things. She struck her hand under the bed and felt the dog lick her hand. An hour later, she awoke again, a little mad at this point. She jumped out of bed. The dripping wasn't coming from the kitchen, so it must be coming from the bathroom. She crept along the side of the hallway and walked into the bathroom. She groped along the side of the wall with her left hand, looking for the light switch. She flicked the light on and gasped. There, hanging from the shower rod, was Scott, skinned. A pool of blood had formed on the bathroom tile, with a continuously drip, drip, drip. As the blood from the dog hit the ground, something on the wall caught her eye. Written on the wall was a message in blood. Humans can lick too. Ha 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 ha.
You've got such a good voice for this. Alright. Now I'm going to be telling the story about Kelly Saunders. Yes. My voice is not going to be as good as yours for this. One cold winter night, 16-year-old Kelly Saunders was home alone. as her parents had gone out to a dinner party at her friend's house. It had been snowing all afternoon, but it had just recently stopped. After studying for a while, she decided to relax a little after all. She finally had the house to herself. She makes some popcorn, gets a nice warm, fuzzy blanket, and snuggles under to watch one of her favourite movies. In the lounge room, the television is positioned a few feet in front of the glass sliding door that leads to the patio and backyard. By midnight, Kelly's parents are still not home, and she begins to feel uneasy. She refused to call them for risk of sounding that she couldn't take care of herself. Suddenly, her eye catches a glint of light from behind the TV, and right there, just outside the glass door, was a crazed-eyed man grinning maliciously at her and holding a long, narrow blade in his left hand. Terrified, the girl panics, pulls the blanket up over her head, and grabs the cordless phone by her side. Kelly calls the police, and as luck would have it, there was a patrol car less than a few blocks from her house. In a matter of seconds, two officers are on the scene, and Kelly tells them about the armed man staring through the glass. The first officer opens the sliding door and looks around the area. A few moments, she turns and explains to Kelly that there couldn't have been anyone standing there, as there would have been footprints in the snow. The second officer tells her that she's probably just tired and imagining things. He beckoned at the TV where the horror movie she'd been watching was still playing. Stuff like that didn't help matters either, he said smiling. Kelly smiled too, more at her own immaturity than the officer's remark, still a little shaken. As the police were about to leave, the male officer stops and looks behind the sofa that Kelly had been sitting on. His jaw drops, and eyes widen to shock. Kelly and the other officer notice his reaction and follow his gaze. They both gasp. There were wet footprints and a discarded knife on the carpet behind the couch. Kelly hadn't seen the man outside his door. She'd seen his reflection when he was standing behind her.
And those are the two stories of girls, innocent girls, who were in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yes.
Hopefully you have enjoyed. And remember,
Stay safe.
humans can lick too.
This could be you. Watch yourself on Halloween.